Hello again, heretics. This is your prince. This is a title that definitely caught my eye. Resident Evil 4 Remake has to hold its own against Resident Evil 2. If they do remake Resident Evil 4, this is a very true statement. Well, I can't say it's objectively true, but my opinion is that Resident Evil 2 is the better of all the remakes. So we're just going to read through this and see what we think of their points. Oh, I should say this is an article by Game Rant, written by Raman Hara. I hope I said that right. Many believe that Resident Evil 4 is the title Capcom plans to reimagine next. Every time I read something like that, the first thought that pops into my head is, should they? Resident Evil 4, as is considered to be a masterpiece by many. While I get very frustrated at the fact that I can't move while aiming, and also I have to keep going into my box to pull out a different weapon, I cannot deny how fun the game is and how different it is from the others. I mean, Capcom made a escort game fun. How? I mean, seriously, any game where I've ever had to escort anything or anybody, I immediately get frustrated. But Resident Evil 4? Bring it on. While Resident Evil 4's popularity will surely guarantee some level of success for a remake, Capcom has the insurmountable task of developing it in a way that would live up or even surpass the success of Resident Evil 2 Remake. Well, here's one big piece of advice: don't cut content. There's a reason people consider Resident Evil 3 to be inferior to Resident Evil 2 now. While I consider it to be a good game in its own right, the original set an expectation. We expected to go into the clock tower. We expected to take on a giant worm. Now, sure, some people can say that's whiny to complain about that. And yes, in the end, it didn't matter too much, but we expected those things. They weren't there. It let us down. Well, at least in those regards. Resident Evil 2 added some action elements, such as being able to move while aiming, use defensive items, but yet managed to keep all of the survival horror elements of its stoic counterpart. But then just saying that, it occurs to me that, hey, Resident Evil 4 might be the easiest remake ever. Flash on a coat of paint, make Leon be able to move while aiming, make him be able to switch weapons on the fly, and then just maybe make the enemies a little bit faster to compensate for that. Job's done. We can all go home, guys. One thing that Resident Evil 2 Remake did best is to recreate the events of the original game faithfully. It is worth noting, the reimagining of Resident Evil 2 is not a shot-for-shot remake of the original. Capcom added new plot lines and expanded some minor characters. You see, they added content, not took it away, such as Robert Kendo, Hunk, and Marvin Branagh. Despite this, the major events that transpired in the remake are mostly the same as the original, which is why it is both a nostalgic and fresh experience for veteran players of the game. The only place where I saw Resident Evil 2 Remake lacking was in the zapping system, where what one character does affects the other. When you compare the plot line of playthrough A against B, it doesn't make sense, but really, it took me so many playthroughs to even notice that. I was having that much fun. Here's another reason why Resident Evil 2 did so well. The remake also upgraded the game's enemies with the infamous Mr. X designed to be more menacing and threatening to the player. Even zombies, which are the game's basic enemies, received a major overhaul and are more threatening to the player, especially when encountered in tight corridors. The zombies were tough to take down and they used up your ammo. If you were not wise and accurate with your shots, or you didn't have your eyes open for more ammo, you were going to run out. One of the things I absolutely love is how hitting different body parts has different effects on the zombies. Such as, I kneecap zombies all the time in that game. But anyway, I'm just gushing now. I love Resident Evil 2 Remake. And so I should stick to the point. Resident Evil 4 already had a form of this. You could shoot your enemies in the knees, and they would fall down to one knee, and then you could run up and melee them, which was new for the series. It'll be very interesting how they do that now in a remake. Will it work the same way? And to finish up, I'm just going to read the last paragraph of the article. It has been rumored that Resident Evil 4 will expand on the story of Dr. Salvador, who was widely known as the Chainsaw Guy in the original game. At the moment, it is unclear how Capcom will approach this expanded story, but it is likely to be the origins of the iconic enemy. Capcom may develop the Chainsaw Guy's origin story similar to that of Lisa Trevor from the original game's remake. In the end, Resident Evil 4 is already a popular title among Resident Evil fans, and a remake of it will surely bring some level of success to Capcom. However, one important thing that the studio should remember is the outcome of the first Resident Evil remakes, focusing on all of the elements that worked in Resident Evil 2. You know, it was nice to read an article that I agree with. I don't get to do this nearly enough. However, heretics, what do you think? Should Resident Evil 4 even be remade? If so, what would you like to see happen in it? What should it do with the melee system? Do you like it being like a small QTE? Or would you rather have a common button that you hit to punch people or to hit them with your knife? I hate QTEs, so you know which way I want to go. And once again, thank you very much for listening. If you feel so inclined, please leave a like, consider subscribing. This has been Heretic Prince. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts with you.